Hey guys, welcome back to the Second Time Lucky Mining channel. In today's video, we are going to have a look at the GPU mining statistics for the month of April. Now, can you believe it? The month of April is done and dusted, and April has been a busy month. For those of you that are not aware, we had the Bitcoin halving, which is probably the most important halving. There was other halvings like Radiant as well, halved within the month of April, but Bitcoin being the big one. For those of you that this is your first halving, welcome to the drama. And as you probably would have noticed, not a lot has changed necessarily. Yes, if you are a Bitcoin miner, obviously you would know that your rewards has been halved, and probably, I don't know, I haven't tracked the fees that much, but there was a massive spike in fees at the beginning of the month or at the halving, but I'm not sure how that has settled down, seeing that it's at least a week post the halving. But again, I digress. That's what has happened, or that's the big thing that has happened in the month of April. Now, for those of you that are new to the channel or unfamiliar, I am going to cover a couple of things in this video. First off, we're going to look at the GPU mining statistics, and we are going to have a look at what is the most popular coin people are mining. We're going to have a look at what is the market share between AMD and Nvidia in terms of GPUs people are using to mine. Then we are going to have a look at what is the most popular GPUs, specifically in Nvidia and then in AMD. And then lastly, we are going to have a look at what is the popular mining software people are using. Now, as every month, let's get the disclaimers out of the way. What I'm going to be using is the HiveOS statistics. Now, again, this is not perfect. And why is it not perfect? Well, there's lots of other mining operating systems out there that people might be using, like Windows, MMPOS. I've seen a lot of people migrate specifically to that. So, the statistics is not necessarily going to be every single GPU out there in the world. I wish I could get my hands on that statistics, but HiveOS is sort of what I have. Why am I looking at HiveOS, and what is important, at least from my perspective, is not necessarily the raw number. If I look at the stats today and I look at it yesterday or last month, I just see a number. And what I'm tracking here in this statistics is, I'm obviously tracking what is the number now, but I'm tracking it over the last couple of months. Why do I like doing that? Well, I like the data, but it gives me an idea of trends. So if I check the data now and last month, I can't remember exactly what it was or something that stood out last month. So at least if I'm tracking it consistently every single month, I can spot trends. Now, why do I like that? Well, I can see sort of what coins people are migrating to, what is out of fashion, potentially where is more yield, and I just find the statistics interesting. So that's sort of why I track these statistics and why it's not perfect at the end of the day. Now, enough of me talking about it. Let's jump on the computer and go through the statistics.
Okay, so here we are on the computer. Now, I've got the HiveOS statistic page open, and I'll leave a link in my video description in case you wanted to go there. But starting off with the most popular coin and looking at the stats here, you can see dominated by Zephyr, so CPU mineable coin, followed by Cubic. So I did see Cubic here last month, though I didn't record the statistics about Cubic. It was about 9% here. But then followed by Raven coin, which I find quite interesting here, Gram, Pyron, Chlor, and Ironfish, and then Ethereum Classic, and then we've got Cubic here listed again. Now, again, if I go back now, for Cubic is quite an interesting one. I did see it for a couple of months on my Vast AI rig, and it's been a mix between people actually using CPU and or GPU to mine it. I'm not sure what is the most efficient at the moment. I would encourage you guys to go and check out guys that cover Cubic more in detail. I'm really not that interested in Cubic, but again, let's have a look at my tracking and have a look at the trend specifically with the most popular coins. Now for that, I'm just going to flick over to my sheet, and again, I'll leave a link in the video description here. But this is now where I can go back many months. I've hidden some of these columns for the really old data since I've been tracking it. But at least you can see here the trends. Now, what I found quite interesting is generally people are gravitating to Gram here. And you would have seen it in Hashrate.no. It's probably one of the most profitable coins to mine, at least at this specific moment. And that has been increasing month on month. Obviously, there's not a lot of new GPU miners in this space, so it's a zero-sum game. So if there are some winners in terms of hash rate, there will be some losers. And having a look at The other notable increase here is Ironfish, and that's what I quite found interesting here is since the algo switch and FPGAs has been kicked off, Ironfish, there's actually been people GPU mining it. So it's quite interesting to see that little jump there. The other stuff that I found interesting is obviously there's Ironfish and Gram that's got an increase, but that is at the expense of Byron. So you can see here Byron is probably the biggest drop here, followed by Lithium. Lithium makes total sense. That's sort of where I've been kicked off as well. So since the hash rates increased quite a lot, since the ASICs are starting to circle, and with the AL box, I have got off there. So I'm probably part of this. And if you look at the drastic change here, that it went up between the end of Jan and then Feb, and then it's drastically gone down. Obviously, you would have seen the hash rates gone up. So that's obviously smart GPU miners getting off and making sure they got their bag before the ASICs get on. Now, the other trend here that I've been following for the longest time is the Ethereum Classic trend here. And here you can see it's been dwindling down every single month consistently. So that's just keep on going down and down and down. Now, next up, let me just flick back to the HiveAway statistics page here. I'm just going to scroll down. We are going to look at the market share here, and clearly you can see Nvidia is just dominating AMD in terms of market share. Intel is obviously still not registering here. It's not surprising to me, at least. The support for Intel GPUs in HiveOS is not great. If you're keen to mine with your Intel GPUs, go and check out MMPOS. Now, again, what has the trend been? So if I flick back, it's been trending. It used to be closer to 60-40. But that has been trending more in the Nvidia favor, and that makes total sense to me. I know I get frowned upon when I say this, but Nvidia GPUs are just easier to mine with. They are definitely more expensive, and the newer AMD GPUs, which I've got one of them, the 7000 series, are not the most efficient GPU miners. So with Nvidia just keep on releasing new GPUs that is easy to plug in and mine with, I expect this trend to just slowly continue unless AMD brings out a banger in terms of mining. Now, looking at the most popular GPUs people are using, so if I just flick over back to the stats, and first off, looking at Nvidia, the most popular GPU people are using, is no surprise here, is the 3070, followed by the CMP30HX, the 3060 Ti, GTX 16 Super, 3080, CMP50, 40, 2060, 3060. So no real massive surprises here. At least if I look at the latest 40 series card, the earliest one on the list here is the 4060 Ti here, the 8 gig model, sort of the first one that I slot up. Now, again, if I look at the stats here and sort of look at the trends, if I just scroll a little bit further down, you can see here the 3070 market share sort of has increased, but that hasn't necessarily been at the expense of a lot. Again, if I just look at what I'm tracking here, it's obviously at the expense of 1660 Supers, and then the other big one here that saw a decline is the 2060. So again, these are older GPUs that probably getting cycled out or getting sold off. So again, not really a lot of surprises there necessarily. Next up, let's have a look at the AMD GPUs. And if I just flick over, again, looking at the most popular ones here, the GOAT, the RX 580 is still at the top here, followed by the 5700 XT, followed by the 6700 XT, 6600, then the 570 8 gig, and then the 6600 XT. So again, if I look at the stats here, again, this doesn't necessarily surprise me. I guess the only surprise is that there's still so many RX 580s on the network here, or at least on HiveOS. Now, if I jump back to my stats here, and again, the big thing that I spotted last month, or since we've been tracking, is the massive increase of the 5700 XT. So you can see here, it used to be like in the 10% or 11, and then all of a sudden it jumped to 15, and that trend has continued here this month. So as you can see, it's about 17.42. So it's really gaining a lot of traction and getting very close to surpassing the 580 here, as you can see here. So the big increase in that, obviously the decrease in continual decrease, at least in the 570 and the 580s. that we have seen. So again, there's a big move here where the 5700 XTs are slowly replacing the 580s here. So that's, again, a trend that we spotted last month, and that is accelerating. And you can sort of see it here. It's very, very close for these to swap places. Lastly, let's have a look at the popular mining software people are using. And again, I'm just going to scroll down. So as you can see here, the custom section here is a massive 23%, followed by XMRig, LOL Miner, Team Red Miner, and some ASICs on here, followed by Rigel. Now, the big thing here is the custom miners, and I think that's what people are using to mine Cubic and the variance instances of Cubic, either GPU or CPU. That's my gut feel specifically around why we've seen an increase in the custom section here. Again, I'm not tracking custom necessarily because it could be anything really. It's any custom miner, so it's difficult for me to say it's this or it's that. Now, again, looking at the stats here, and not a lot of interesting things here. There's a couple of miners that saw a big decrease. As you can see here, LOL miner took a massive dip at the expense of obviously Rigel, and 1.0 miner is sort of the same. So I don't really count 0.05 as a massive increase here. But the big changes really is people getting off LOL miner. And again, the big increase is on the custom side. But as I mentioned, it's difficult for me to really hone in and say this is the actual mining software in the custom section, as the stats don't really tell me exactly what it is people are custom mining with.
That's it for this video, guys. If you've liked the video, please like the video and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel. If you didn't, please specify in the comments what you would like me to change. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.